Hello, everybody. Welcome to your next episode of Summer in Life podcast. I am here today with Pip and our special guest, William Siaw. He is
Yes.
actually one of our experts that is going to be coming into the Sprout community this year to be focusing in on strengths, tapping into our strengths, discovering our strengths, and using those to leverage us through transition and hard times. So before his actual event, it's going to be in October. We're hosting this podcast to kind of get out to you and get this topic going, get the juices flowing around strengths and how we might be able to leverage those for ourselves. And you can see Pip's super excited about it. So let's just get into it. Hey, Will, how are you doing today?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Pip. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing all right. Not too bad after a active Wednesday, but I'm doing all right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
and thanks for
got
having me.
You got to keep moving, like,
We have to.
to the podcast, to who even knows what you have going on after this.
Mm-hmm.
You've had so many different roles. The ones I know about, even between business analyst and product manager and software architect, and thinking about that and what you're doing now. What do you think is one of those common threads that have kind of carried you through the different shifts and the different roles?
That's a good question. Um, I take a moment to pause and think through a little bit because I currently am in a actively reflective season, right? And looking back at my roles, like you said, I've had quite a number of roles. Um, be yourself, right? And when I say be yourself, it's what shows me that this is you, your light, right? And that's when the strength comes in. You know, there's weaknesses, but I don't even say but there's weaknesses, and your strengths is what I choose you to be here for. So that's one thing. And we can look at it in so many different ways. When we don't when we want to look at it as in technical, if it's soft skills or hard skills, that's that. But at the end of the day, the part where you can control is your strengths. And throughout my career, that's always been, kind of like on the forefront. So yeah.
I think that's actually how we really started to like resonate and like be like, we have to work together when
Yes. Yes.
strength-based development and strength-based growth came up. Like, what are your top five? It's like
Correct.
gotta
Yes.
you
Yes.
gotta always ask each other. Why don't you tell the audience what is your top five strengths?
Oh, okay. So my number one is maximizer. Um, don't quote me on the order, but it's maximizer, learner, belief. Uh, there is two more. This is a mouthful. So individualization. I always have to take my time to say that one. And then there's one more. I can't recall what that one is. Adaptability. So yes, that is my five. And for one, being maximizer, it says you lead by influence. And so uh, that blew my mind when I read through, what it was describing, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And it's one thing that led to another. And that's why it's pretty much led me into, or it sparked my engine and began to connect dots for me into how I'm now into coaching. So it's one thing that led to another, and then we're here now. But yeah, those are my top five. What about you? What were yours?
So my top five were the learner. So I think we have that one the
Okay.
same.
Yes.
Achiever,
Mm-hmm.
arranger, positivity, and communication. So
Wow. Awesome. Yes, 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 yes. I see all of that. But from the first time I met you, it's been the same. You know, the positivity, the energy, the communication. And I always admired that. It's like no one is gonna change who I am. This is me. Take it for what it is. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea, you know. So I definitely love that. And fast forward, we are still able to get in touch and work together. So that's great.
Seriously, like
Yeah.
total full circle moment when you reached out and said that you were interested in bringing your expertise to
Yes.
my community at the Sprout
Yes.
community. So maybe even tell the audience a little bit more about your background and how you can use that to add value to the Sprout community.
Yeah. So thanks for that opportunity. My natural competencies as a professional is as an analyst, right? So I've worked in the core IT space for a while. Currently, I'm in higher education. That is where I'm currently at, and I see myself growing in that space a little bit more, while still being able to apply a lot of the analyst, attributes to that. But I love asking questions. I'm inquisitive. Um, Again, wide learner is one of my strengths, and having worked in that IT space, I'd been a business analyst for a while. And then I moved into a role as a software architect where I was still working as a business analyst for the most part. But in this case, I was responsible for everything, literally from design inception all the way through to completion, and you are handing this product over to the client. So you are involved in the whole process. I had to learn things with modeling, prototyping. So my 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 means of asking questions continually grew and grew. Um, Stakeholder management grew a lot because now I'm the one fully responsible for everything. So I am the one in constant communication with stakeholders. I am the one in constant communication with engineers and developers. I'm the one in constant communication with my product manager, my VPs. So it's having different ways to communicate with different people on different levels. So there's that, and then if you take that into account, my natural competencies of loving people, love God, loving food, like yeah,
Amen.
those three there, and then yes, mixing all of that together, um, and that inquisitiveness and continuously learning has given me a good round that posture as to how I approach things, and I think it allows me to be able to add value here, even in my professional background. You know, I've gone through having a job, being in a job, I've gone through not having a job and going through the application process. What changed? When they literally say speaking the language, I did not understand that before, but I came to understand it and working with other people who are also supportive in that process. So knowing where you are at, knowing that you need certain kind of resources to help you elevate, to close the gap is very, very important because aside from the work I had to do, aside from God giving me the strength, I also needed people and then other people who were familiar in that space to also help me, excuse me, get through that process, taking the necessary training, certifications. So I've gone through that whole process. I've worked in telecommunication, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in small scale, medium scale businesses. I've started, I've been through the whole startup process, even through college, and now I'm in higher ed. So yeah, it's I'm able, if even if you take away the technical and the professional, part of it, just my journey in life, having migrated from Ghana to the US alone, you can bring a lot of those life lessons in there too as well. So I
Yeah.
love people, so I'm always looking for those kind of opportunities to share and also learn from them too as well. So yeah. And this was the right place, and not even trying to, butter the bread, but it resonated with me, and I connected with it, and it was one random night. That's when I usually go do my research and stuff, and I saw it. So I was pregnant. What is this about? And I was like, oh, this summer. I was like, oh, it's actually been a while. Bang, bang, bang. I saw your coaching certification. It was also the time when I was looking for different, I was searching. And yeah, one thing led to another. I read it. We spoke. I was like, Summer, that's it. We're gonna do something. And and
Gotta
and
do it.
here we are. So yeah.
Yes, I'm so excited for this collaboration. And even like every time we talk, it's like I'm learning more from you as
Mm-hmm.
well and hearing your story and like the shifts and the changes and all of that having to manage. First of all, it is pretty telling, like you being able to overcome those, your strengths, how those can come out, that it's
Oh yeah.
really the maximizer. But also, this area of transition or this area of change is something that these members are either experiencing right now or they're kind of like right ahead of the right before the change and
Yes.
needing to build those tools, needing to build those mental muscles to be resilient and get through the change. So,
Yes.
you're going to be talking about strengths, tapping into the strengths, and we've even given them a little bit of a teaser of some of the strengths
Mm-hmm.
that are
Mm-hmm.
out there. They're probably like 32, 36, or somewhere around there,
Pretty well.
total strength
Yes.
in
Yes.
the Clifton Strength
The
Finder.
traits that they totally give you as your total. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, how, for the audience, like for anyone that might not know, how would you describe the Clifton Finders assessment and strength-based development?
Okay. So what it does is, so there's the top five, right? And I believe it's 34. I believe it's 34. We can always verify, but I know that I am not, one thing I also wanted to mention, I am not an affiliate with them. I am just passionately expressing what this did for me, and now I'm sharing how what it did for me, sharing that, right?
Wish I should say
I
that too. I am
yes,
not an
I did.
affiliate.
Yeah, I did look into wanting to get certified, but I was like, yeah, I'll wait on that for what I had other things that I had to take care of financially. I was like, yeah, I can't do this right now, but I still think I can add that value there. So yeah, so it gives you your 34 traits, and I guess let me do it this way. I'll walk through the process. So you take this assessment, right? And there's research is highly backed by research, and when you go on that website, it tells you how they came up with these select questions. And I like the questions because it's either you're here or here, right? And it's how you would respond to these questions. So after you're done with the questions, I did that the first time I did it, I did the full plan. Just gonna give you all my 34 traits or themes, right? So the first focus is on your top five. Excuse me. The first focus is on your top five. And with that, it shows you these are your core. Now, it might change over time, but not really. A lot of times, those themes are consistent. Um, some might interchange in terms of position, but for the most part, they do stay consistent. So they do not even advise you to even take it again. But if you're like, sure, let me find out, you can take it again and then find out.
Yeah.
So
Skeptic. Take it again.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what I liked about this was there's a lot of assessments out there. The biggest thing was, okay, I have this now. What do I do with this? How am I able to apply this in my day to day? It be my intimate relationships, it be my friend relationships, if this be work, wherever it is, how can I apply these in there? And they give you practical steps to how to do these
Yeah.
things. So yeah, that's kind of like the process there, and the goal is to, at least how I also approach it is, for some do know some of these strengths, right? So with and that is my approach, where how I work with people, where it's like, for some they do know, this is more of a confirmation, right? And then also how you can apply this in your day to day. And for some, they have no idea. Let's discover that, right? And it changes your perspective. It's a thought process. So that was what it did for me. I read the book before I took the assessment. So that's, I'd never heard of it before,
Yeah.
right?
Me
So
too.
it's the book. I was reading the book and it was like, oh, you have to take the assessment. I think it's in chapter 3 or so. And I was like, oh, I started reading the book and I was like, this is amazing. And I
Hmm.
was like, I can't wait to take this assessment. So yeah, it's that's how that journey has been. So yeah.
I actually started with the book as well, and I'm
Okay.
so in love. Like the phrase that really stuck with me, and like you'll probably see it in some of my communications through Sprout and some of the things I've said, like in our different events and whatnot, is you're being your best when you're being yourself. I
Yes.
love like that one. Like if I wasn't so scared of needles, I would get it tattooed on my heart because
Yes.
it is so true. And it's really what Sprout's all about too. You have what you need. You need to tap into that. You need to be true to yourself, but you also kind of got to do the work, right? You
Yes.
can nourish those strengths and come out and, sprout. So that's kind of like so related to everything
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
about. And
Mm-hmm.
I 100% agree. Like the insights from that they give you in that assessment, it really shows you that knowledge is power. Some of
Yes.
the ones, especially, those feelings of imposter syndrome, some of the ones you're like, oh, I knew I was like good, but I didn't know I was like that. Like, I didn't know it was like my strength,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it
Yes.
really just gives you that moment of um, gratitude for yourself and recognition and being proud of yourself. Like, wow, I am like great at this. I am really good,
Mm-hmm.
and the book would outline like these are the best ways you would work. These are the best ways you would like to be motivated. These are like if someone
Yes.
else is this way, the best ways they would like to work. If you were a
Mm-hmm.
manager maybe with some other people and just the insights there. I
Yes.
love
Yes. And
the
and and
assessment.
and and it shows also how, maybe, I guess you can call it, where you fall short, right? Because I'm happy and I'm excited that this is where you're great at, but there's also a possibility that this might influence this person in this other way. So just be aware of that. This
Mhm.
is where sometimes, if you it's not saying change it or minimize it, but just be aware, so you know how to relate and create space for others,
Mhm.
right? So I definitely love that. And the point about, oh, this makes a lot of sense, and it was a lot for me,
Like
especially
like
yeah, when I read the Maximizer, and I was like, this makes so much sense, because it's not necessarily about being that number one person who is in charge. No, it doesn't really matter. But for some reason, if I find that thing or person that shows that sense of, there's something there, and what it described it as, the ability to take something that is good or great and taking it to levels of excellence or superb. So for some, they can take literally anything from ground up and bring it up. Not everyone can do that. In the
Mhm.
same light, not everyone can also take something that is good and take it to the next possible highest level. And that is where maximizer comes in. And a lot of things, it's like, this makes so much sense. And I keep looking at different, examples in my past life, and I'm just like, I see, I see, I see. So yeah, it actually gives you in-depth analysis of how you show up, And there's a few more other assessments, but I really did like this one and how it
Mhm.
laid it out for me. So yeah.
This one is very well regarded. Not to say that other assessments are not, but
Yes.
this one is very well regarded. And like out of all the years, I don't remember the exact year it was like released in the original publication, but
Mm-hmm.
it is very barely had any edits, like barely had like changes in the additions. Like the theories and the concepts are very true throughout all these years and still well regarded. So that's one of the things that's great about it too. Um, and even going back to like just knowing the words, like just having that click for you, like maybe you
Yes.
knew or maybe you didn't know. And now you have that information about yourself and it
Mm-hmm.
can empower you. And it kind of reminds me of this study I read before. It was like, I don't remember the name of the tribe, but it was like some tribe in Africa, and they have the same word for blue and green. So when
Oh,
they would see a color blue and see a color green, oh, that like we would distinctively know is different because we have those words. They
yes.
would not be, they would couldn't tell the difference even
Oh,
after you told them
wow.
in today. And then when you had colors that are like, let's say they're both blue, but they're very, very close shades of blue,
Mm-hmm.
our eyes, like people that have different names for blue and green, couldn't tell the difference, but they could tell the difference. So it's like all these things of our information and the way we speak about things and look at
It's
things and
program.
perceive things, they
Yes.
shape our whole reality. So
Yes.
ever since I felt like I learned that about myself, even if I kind of knew it, it's put words to it that I might not
Yes.
have used in the past that made me feel more empowered and more
Yes.
ready to take it on. It's like, you know what? I am positive. What am I talking about? I am that communicator. I am a learner. I am a achiever. Like, let's do this thing and just really gearing you up for that. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things about this assessment, especially for a community like this, where it's a lot of change all the time. When you're developing and learning and growing, you're changing. It's
Mm-hmm.
rapid change, actually. So maybe even like, what do you think for the group? How does knowing your strengths and tapping into these strengths prepare you, like specifically for you,
Yes.
prepare you for anything that's ahead, any of the change or the challenges ahead of you?
Yeah. Before I answer that, what you just talked about, what came up to me was the power to change your reality or to change something that you don't want. You
Mm,
have to change the way you think, right? And the way you choose to perceive things. And like you said, I am that. I am that. I believe that. So you pick and choose what that is. And uh, there is a programming. That's a fascinating story where it's they were able to see the difference in the shades of blue, but the green is because this is what we have accepted as this is what it is. So obviously my brain is gonna look for the things that justify that.
mm,
So good. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that and that's awesome. Now in relation to the strengths, so I ask this question, uh, which is I tend to ask this question a lot. If I guess I'll ask you, what do you think would help you improve the most, right? Knowing your strengths or knowing your weaknesses? And as we're thinking about this in a setting of excellence, right? What would that be? Knowing your strengths or knowing your weaknesses?
I am not going to answer because we, but I'd love
Right.
the audience
There's not a right answer or a wrong answer,
to
but the answer you subscribe with this very moment is telling on what you're focusing on. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's telling on what you're focusing on. So, um, in this present moment, I might be maybe focusing on a weakness that I need to get over to get to the next stage. But overall, I'm focused on my strengths. Now, since this was directed to me, maximizer for one is you focus on strength. So already that's already given. You focus on strength as a way to stimulate personal and group excellence, right? So as you seek to transform something strong into something superb. So already that's a given. That's for me. But um, I've had people answer that question and they've said weakness. I've had people that very few would say strength. So curious about the weakness as to why. I hear this a lot.
Mhm.
Oh, I already know my strengths. Oh, like I already know what I'm good at. So don't worry about it. But I know what I'm not good at, and I need to focus on that and keep working on it so I can grow, right? So I can get better. You're absolutely correct. Strength. Well, I know I'm good at this, so I guess I'm gonna focus on that a little bit more and see
Mhm.
where that takes me. The point of this is not to say ignore your weaknesses. The point here is to say, and that is the idea here is if you focused, if we all had the same amount of energy, and I focused, say I focused 100% of that on my strengths, and I focused 100% on my weakness, what I'll be doing and where I'll be at with my strengths are compared to my weakness, it's very, very, very different. Aside from that, there is an internal sense of fulfillment, peace, and confidence that comes with when you use that 100% on that strength and use that 100% on the weakness. The weakness is temporary. I say the weakness is temporary because the moment the environment or the scenario shifts, technically that weakness no longer exists. Your strengths, we take them for granted, like I'd heard multiple times. Oh, I already know what it is. So why are you not working on it? Because you know it's always there, so I'm not gonna work on it. But for a moment, just allow yourself. If you gave it a little bit more effort. So let's say, for example, you're good at communication, but you're not so good. Maybe you're good with verbal communication, but not so good with written communication. So you're working so much to get better at written communication, but your verbal communication is still there. We know it's there. But can you imagine that if you even put 10% of the effort you're putting into the weakness, you put that into your verbal. I can bet you that in your work environment, you would uh, you would have a bigger presence because it's already there. Now you have gotten better ways, and that's where the skills and the knowledge comes in to hone in on your strengths, to grow your strengths. And we can use these strengths to address our weaknesses to help us. So if you know your verbal, you're really great at verbal and your written is not so great, I think I can put some effort into it to get it to a point where this is good to go. But maybe I don't need to send you an email. I can give you a quick 5-minute call so we can get through this. Like in instances where we are faced with serious challenges, why are we so quick to fix it when we can use our strengths to just get past it because it is
Mm.
it's a block. I
Abs-
do not have to fix this. It's a block. Now, obviously, depending on where you're working on and where you're going, you might need to spend a little bit more effort to move past that weakness. So the idea is to just say, hey, for a moment, maybe I need to spend a little bit more on my strengths and see where that takes me as compared to having my mindset continuously be on weakness. And it's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It's helped me a lot for my adaptability. And this was when I was back in college. My supervisor, so at the end of when we were done, we had one party and the workers came and our supervisors did something where with your name, each letter in your name. So for William, each letter he would have an adjective for that, right? And one of the L's, it was like a laissez-faire but effective attitude towards problems. He said, it does not matter what issue might be going on. William had the most, oh, laid back, yes, the most laid back attitude to it, but then still found a way to solve it. Because why am I stressing over it? That adaptability came in there where it's like, well, we can find a problem. I can easily shift. So it's like I'm unconsciously even anticipating that there might be a problem, right? The one I found very interesting was my favorite one, individualization. I wasn't sure what that meant. It was my first time actually hearing that word. This was, and I'll just read what it has here. It says, you are intrigued with the unique qualities of each person. It says, you have a gift for figuring out how different people can work together productively. This is the first time this was named for me. I always had this thing where, and thank God for that gift, where if we're in a group setting or we're on a team, I can see, I have that sense where I can, it's like seeing the good or that unique quality in each person and how we can bring that out. I always used to say, if we're on a group and there's that one person who's just there by himself, quiet, the tendency for me to pull that person in to the circle is very, very high. Where, because obviously everyone is focusing on what we need to get done. If you don't want to be part of it, that's fine. I would typically be the one to, that's what my focus will shift to because I'm like, I see something here. Pull them in. And I've been doing, so this was the first time where it was named for me. So like all these things make me realize, oh, in the workplace, how I can apply this, I can be good at putting teams together. I can be in a meeting and depending on the question the person asks, depending on how they answer that question, already I start thinking and feeling, oh, we need this person in this team. If we want to form an analytical team, I already have an idea as to who I want to call. I know who, for lack of a better term, disruptive, where they ask very challenging questions, whereas devil's advocate, but they're actually important questions. I know who to bring into it. I know who is politically savvy enough to be in a particular meeting. And I went with this over my managers, and she also said the same thing too. This would be a great thing when it comes to building teams. So it's like knowing these things. So she knows where to put me. She knows how to and it might sound a little bit weird, but how to use me to my strengths. And I also know how to do that too as well. So yeah, like knowing these things help you a lot in being able to apply them in your day-to-day activities. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that overall, knowing your weaknesses and knowing your strengths is going to give you value.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you're going to make the decision of where you want to spend your time. As a achiever, we want to do everything and sometimes don't look at everything in front of us to do it the best way, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tunnel vision sometimes. And that's something I'm learning about myself and working on all the time. And, one of my bosses told me in the past something about like stop worrying about how to do it, worry about like who can do it. Because I was like,
Yes.
working on something that like I never did it before, honestly, had no interest of even doing it. It just something that had to be done, right? He's like, you know what? You know this person, they could probably help you. Who can do this? You can make those decisions. And at the time, the little gremlin in my brain was like, is he pretty much saying like don't do the work? It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you're not doing the work. You're getting the work done, of course, but you're using other people's strengths and bringing that out of them to get some
Yes.
work done. And knowing how to build the team around you. If you're not strong at certain things, you probably do want a team of people that are stronger in the areas that you are weak in. And
Yes.
it's not a bad thing. It just is.
Not a bad thing.
It just is. Yeah.
Yes,
So beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
of
And
course.
if anyone wanted to kind of just take that first step, they're feeling like they're in this area where they're feeling stuck and maybe need that little burst of reassurance that we were talking about, that
Hmm.
click of knowing the words to put to their strengths. Where do you think they should even start?
I feel like it always starts with yourself. It always starts with yourself and the decision you make in terms of what you want to do. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers. We would like to have all the answers. Would really hope to have all the answers, but um, I've come to realize it doesn't work that way. It would be if we could get it, it wouldn't make any sense to us. We wouldn't appreciate it. We have to go through a process, but it has to start with a decision yourself. So um, um, before even me coming into it, you have to make the decision and say, I want to know, I want to find out, I want to grow. This is not okay for me anymore. I don't want to be in this space anymore. I want to elevate. I want to. We have this ego inside of us, and if you really look into what the ego is and how they live and what they do, they tap into their strengths. They don't run away from challenges or weaknesses and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's usually my first step is let's start with that. Where are you at right now? Right? So where are you at right now? We would usually take an assessment that tells us, okay, this is what it's saying. How do you feel about this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? That gives me a little bit more information, right? And then depending on how we want to move forward, that might be good enough for some. We've gone ahead and gone through my whole coaching process too as well, and that's also been great. But taking that assessment is one really good step you can do. You can as easily go on that website to do that, but you can do that with myself where you have another partner to go through that journey with. So yeah, you can. I have an email that can be shared in there. And right now, that's one of the best ways to reach out to me. I'm working on other mediums at the moment for communication, but at this very point, email is or even LinkedIn. One of the best areas to do that. See my full name, and I know you drop all of that in there, but yeah, because the email is quite mouthful. But yeah, so that would be a good place to start if it's any questions. I love it. I enjoy it. So I wouldn't even mind, talking through some of these things. But yeah, that would be a good place. I hope that answered that question you asked me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I kind of went
You
different
know,
directions with that.
Another great place is going to be your session in October,
Yes,
Strengths Discovery, which
yes,
can include a live coaching session where we are actually going to be doing a giveaway through this
yes.
podcast in this specific episode, which we're super excited about. So automatically, all of our founding members are going to be opted into this raffle. But then anyone that listens to this podcast and emails info@thesproutcommunity.com is able to be eligible for this raffle, where we'll be giving away a free book and assessment of your top 5 Clifton Strength Finders.
Oh,
Yes, ooh,
yes,
right.
yes,
So
yes.
whoever wins that, you'll be able to go through your assessment and participate in the live coaching session with Will in October. So we'll make sure you have all the dates and information and the invite so that you can come live and be a part of that. Or
That is
virtual,
correct.
sorry, it is
Yes.
probably a virtual session.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, so that one will be a more in-depth process where we would literally go through what that looks like. So yes, 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 that is correct. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And just having people know there's like just someone else I could say, what's your top five, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, I
Like
love top
sharing that
fives.
language and sharing
Yeah.
that mindset and the positivity and the energy is I just love everything about Clifton Strength Finders.
hmm That's true. And they're constantly bringing out, that's what I like. They're constantly bringing out new information that you can always read about and learn about. I get those emails. I go to them. I go to the website sometimes, and there's stuff I keep picking up. I'm like, man, you guys just don't stop giving.
Yeah.
But
Well, they
yeah,
give these resources, but then, people like us can, amplify those resources, continue the development with the community through professional events like this or coaching,
yes,
since we're both certified
yes.
coaches as well. But when we think about this specific collaboration, why do you think like this type of event and this type of topic is so critical for a community like mine? People who are balancing that 9 to 5, and trying to thrive in their entrepreneurial journey.
Well, for one, it's in the name, Sprout Community, right? So Sprout,
Sprout
we're
up.
coming out, Sprout up, right? So Sprout up, this is why it's important. For something to sprout, I think we all have an idea as to how plants work. It needs watering, it needs sunlight, it needs nutrition. So the water, the light, its attention, the nutrients, resources, and water, water is very moves in so many different forms. So um this is why it is important, right? This is why that community is important. And things grow, things are built, things are created in communities. Anything built outside of a community that's not is not sustained, in my honest uh and humble opinion. Um, but anything built in a community stands the test of time. Because it's not just one material that is brought in there to build it. Different people come into it, different materials come into it. So this is why this is the value.
Yeah.
So it's in the name. It's in the name and yeah, being a part of this being a part of a community, and that's why I'm even here, being a part of a community like this is how can I even add to that? If I did not understand or value that message, I would not be sitting here today because I know you also have that same goal, that same message. So it's how can we help each other to expand this, to grow this, and add others. And they would also share with others, and the community will just continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And as they grow, people are happier, are more fulfilled because you are helping. You're giving, but you're also receiving something that it's not. It's the tangible parts, but don't get me wrong. But there's also the intangibles too as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you know what it's all about. And
hmm
there was this phrase that I can't remember it word for word, but it was kind of like, if you want to build it fast, go alone. If you want it
Yes.
to go far, build it together, like build it with a
Yes.
community. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, wow. Like you step back and you just look at not just business, but a lot of different things that you
hmm
might want to build. And like all those different aspects of the support system
Yes.
and the people around you, especially in those times of challenge and where you really need to be resilient. And maybe there are the times you can't muster it up yourself, like that community brings so much
Everything needs a recovery process.
recovery,
Everything needs a recovery process, and
all
and
of
that's
it.
what the community is there. I
Yeah.
spoke to someone at one of your events, and they were sharing with me how valuable this has been in their life, and having a community like this, and actually having tangibles, and connecting and realizing who they were, where they were at, what they needed to do, how to be accountable, and having the resources to help them move forward into the next chapter. So I was like, oh, this is so exciting to hear, So it even makes me eager to even see how I can also add and learn. Uh, I've already been learning, but that is amazing. Yeah,
Well, that's why we always invite you and everyone to come and join us and be a part of this. It's not just the education, it's not just the
yes,
social, it's not just the coaching, it's all of it. We want to be well-rounded professionals. We want to build thriving businesses. We want to live fulfilling lives and be satisfied, right? So we can do
yes,
that together, building these capabilities, learning from each other, celebrating together. And I think the best place to do it is in that founding membership. Will, you were actually at our first launch party for the
yes,
founding
I
membership
was.
just back in June, where we
Mm-hmm.
ended up for the first 100 members to be getting all of our different resources and features and offerings just for that monthly $100 a month or $1,100 per year, which is an amazing value,
Yes,
especially since they're the two events per month at a minimum. The coaching discounts, the discounts on the premium resources, and full access to the resource library. Also, those private groups, there are just so many angles of development and built-in accountability, and obviously so much more to come. So, thank you so much for joining us today and continuing this ride and being a part of this journey with me.
yes, yes. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes.
Well, I really do appreciate it to walk along that with you and also experience it as well and also share. Yeah, looking forward to more.
Okay, well, thank you everyone else that's listening for tuning in again for the Summer in Life podcast. Just a few reminders, we are going to be having a Will's event where we'll be giving away our raffle. So do not
Yes,
forget to email info@thesproutcommunity.com if you are wanting to enroll in that. Or if you're a founding member, you will be automatically enrolled in that. So why not just join the founding membership, right? So much more to offer.
what are you waiting on? Join it, yo.
Well, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
Let's go.
But there's so many ways to engage. There's our social media. You can join an event for free using our community pass. Just joining that basic membership, you have your monthly community pass to go to one event per month. Or you can just reach out. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to jump on a call to talk about your goals and how the Sprout community might be able to help you. So definitely stay tuned for next time. We're always going to be bringing you different guests, people that are connected to the Sprout community and have messages that we want to share with you all. So until then, I'm Summer Camper.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Awesome.